We have like two languages available, English and Spanish. Tenemos dos idiomas disponibles, inglés y español. So to select the language, please click on the globe icon and select the language of your choice. Haga clic en el icono del globo terráqueo y seleccione el idioma de su elección. So the virtual event will be recorded and maybe put up for the public viewing en the LASD website en YouTube channel. Este evento virtual se grabará y se puede publicar para que el público lo vea en los sitios de web del LASD en el canal de YouTube. If so this is us.
And Fatima has arrived.
Oh, yeah, Fatima's here. Okay. So I want to all the parents share what happened in your CC's meeting this month. If any other school have that CC meeting, can you guys like share with us?
We reallocated budget and we were able to get tutors to people who needed it. I forgot what group, sorry, but we were able to get tutors for the children, for the kids.
To elaborate,
Thank you.
I remember I was at the meeting too. There was, in Twain's budget, there was money for an instructional aide to provide intervention, and the position has been vacant, and we can't hire somebody. And we have this money that we want to spend. It's money directly supposed to help students. And so instead of, we reallocated money so that we could provide tutoring to students. We're focusing on students who are English learners, but also students who need acceleration and who need remediation in all those, whoever they are. And so that's what Twain is. That was the purpose of the meeting.
Any parents online can going to share what happened in the SS meeting?
Just to jog your
Mhm.
memories, last month when we met, I shared with you a bunch of information about school site council and the job that we have to do, looking at data, looking at how our kids were doing, and how schools had a data day on January 9th, and they looked at how the children performed on iReady in language arts, iReady in math. We had ELD data. We had some other local assessment data. And the job was to look at your goal 1, which was academic achievement for students, and goal 2, which is access and equity, making sure that all students are progressing. That includes our English learners, that includes our children with special needs, that includes any group that is struggling. And to look at your funding, because we're in the second interim budget cycle, and I'm working with all your principals to make sure your monies are being used appropriately. And similar to what happened at Twain, many sites had allocated funds in one place, but because of what's happened, for instance, in their case, they couldn't fill a position, they need to move funds. And the school sites have to spend 85% of their Title I funds each year, or we have to give it back, right? So this is the time. Your principals will be bringing this data and these budget decisions to your school site council. And if it hasn't happened yet, it will be happening very soon.
That's exactly what we did.
Any other school have something to share, either in the chat or in person?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We spoke about safety measures at Adams. We have a new safety coordinator.
Okay.
They added some new equipment like defibrillators to assure the safety of the children and to make sure that everyone is certified for like CPR and just to make sure everything's in check. So I thought that was really good.
And that's a great point because another function of the school site council is to approve your school safety plan every year. So Adams is on top of it and they're ahead of the March 1st deadline.
Yes.
Good job. Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. King.
Anyone else? Well, I have my meeting yesterday,
Okay.
Rogers and you don't get to say it, I like it, because, right, I see like they trying to help the students, like we, after school programs, and like doing, ¿cómo se ayuda?
Help?
Yeah, they have like, teachers like to help the students after school
Intervention.
interventions too.
Okay, sounds like schools are doing what they're supposed to do. Good. Good. What did you say what we're gonna do today?
Okay, what we're gonna do today is like the family input en elementary science adoption, la contribución de la familia a la adopción de la ciencia en la escuela primaria. And we update of the gifting and talent education gate, la actualización es sobre la educación para superdotados y talentosos, parent ambassadors leaders, Pulse program, and padres embajadores líderes Pulse. I'm gonna introduce Ms. Teresa.
My name is Charisse Jones, and I am the Common Core TOSA here for Lawndale Elementary School District. And I support programs, curriculum, and instruction for all of our students, kindergarten through 8th grade, in different projects. And one of our projects right now is we're looking at purchasing a new science curriculum for our 6 elementary schools. Our middle schools got new science curriculum last year. So they have their new curriculum, and now elementary schools are looking at new curriculum. And one thing that's important is our teachers are working with, are trying out 2 programs, and our students are getting to experience 2 programs. And we also want to get family input on the 2 programs we're looking at so that you have a voice and can contribute to the education in Lawndale. So what we'll do today is part 1. And then in February, I'll come back and we'll do part 2. So can you advance from
Come over here so you can run it and you can. That'll be simpler.
Perfect. So in today's focus, in phase 1, we will discuss your aspirations for your children's science learning and what you hope that your kids gain from their science education. I'm going to ask the group today 5 questions. And if you have something you'd like to say about that question, I would love for you to share that input with us. You don't need to answer every question. And if there's anyone who is on Zoom, you're welcome to share out loud with the group or add it to the chat. And Ms. Gabby has agreed to put the comments in the chat into a notes document for us. So I'm going to be typing what you say so that I can share your input just with our science team as we begin to make choices about which program or curriculum to purchase. And so your role today is to share your thoughts and your experiences openly and honestly. If you have specific examples, we'd love for you to share examples you have. Please listen respectfully to other parents and families' perspectives. And then if you need any questions answered, you can ask me. Okay? And then all of the information we collect today will not be shared beyond the purposes of just input in our science adoption process. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, wonderful. So as I mentioned, 5 questions. We'll do one at a time. I know this is small. Okay, so here is the first question. I would like to know from you as family members, what are your hopes and dreams for your child's future? And what career paths do they envision? So anyone can start sharing if you have an idea or about a hope or a dream you have for your child's future. Yes, thank you.
Yep. I think this is a dream that all the parents had, that our kids had the better, bright future, right? As a mom, I want my kids, all of them, have a career, a professional career. I don't care which one is. It's that their decisions. I already have a kid in high school. He's thinking about engineer. So yeah, this is something good. So I think this is a dream that all of the parents has, that the brightest future for them.
Thank you.
I want, my ultimate goal is for my child to be happy. That at the end of the day, that they go home and they be happy. Right now, one of my kids wants to be a teacher right now. Sometimes she wants to be, there was a point where she wanted to be a ballerina. This evolves as they grow up. My goal for my child is to have her prepared to do whatever makes her happy, to finance it. Because sometimes what makes us happy doesn't pay. And we need both. So I need her to be prepared with education, with social skills, with experiences, different experiences, so that she can make good choices to get her to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I share with the person the same thing because I want my kids like have like a good future and be professionals. And one of my kids, I have my twins. One of my twins wanna be a criminology. She wanna do a criminology.
Criminology,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
And I'm happy with that because she already decided, and she's doing now what the university she wants to go. She's doing that now. That everything what the school asking for, and she's in ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
So in my son, I was like, okay, because I thought he was like to do computers, like science, because most of his when he was 7 or 8, he always been interacting with the computers. But now he went to do it like fashion design. And I was like, okay, it's not what I'm supposed to be. I want to, but you know what? If you're happy, what am I gonna do? I need to help you. I think every parent wants to be keeps me happy.
Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, if you think of anything else you want to share on this question, I can always add your comments. Here is the second question. Oh, and to the parents who added comments in the chat, I see that those comments have been added to the notes for question 1. Thank you very much. Okay, question 2. How do you see science playing a role in your child's future success, regardless of their career path? How do you see science playing a role in their future success?
I do want to share a little thought in regards to this question, if I'm able to.
Yes, please.
Going to school, I'm a first time. My parents migrated from Colombia and El Salvador to this country, and I was born and raised here. And going to school, I feel like science really created curiosity, and it allowed for me to go through different hypotheses and be able to answer different questions and um, get the answer through different tasks and experiments. So I do feel like curiosity is something that's very interesting in like education because you're able to figure out exactly what you want to accomplish. So for me, I feel like science in a child that is so young, it builds curiosity because I feel like you do start losing it as an adult.
You.
I think it's important for kids to be exposed to everything. When I was in elementary, I was an English learner, and I didn't get the opportunity to do so much science because I was learning English. So, and I knew that, and that was, it always held, I was always behind in science because I was trying to catch up with English. So science is very important to get your brain going. It just, um, every subject has a way to motivate, to move your brain. And science exposes you to possibly a path in medicine or, those type of careers. So it's important that they get early exposure in that to see if they like it. Does this drive me? Is this for me? And that everybody gets the opportunity, not just the people who speak English.
Yeah, I think she's correct that technology will affect has something to do with any career choice that you choose. So you have to be good in science. Look at all the apps, look at all the technology and cellular phones. So that will play a big role. You have to be very knowledgeable in science, and that will help you in any other career that you choose. So you don't have to specifically major in science, but have a good knowledge of it because it affects everything else.
Thank
True.
Somebody raised their hand.
Would it be possible to share?
Please do.
Um, I, I, I agree with what has been shared and what I see in the chat as well. And I just want to emphasize that science provides an opportunity to really build skills, those growth mindset skills that are needed in any career, not just science. My son is really into soccer, and I try every opportunity to try and connect. How does science connect to sports? How does science now connect to what we're learning in history? So there's so many different opportunities to connect science with every aspect of different subjects that are taught in school. And I really feel that building those skills, those critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, are very critical, especially in a global market and careers that are so changing so fast, that we need to make sure that our children are adaptable and they have those skills to be adaptable. So this is why I feel science is such an important subject to teach in schools, because it is a great source of material to really open those doors to make it easier to teach those skills for our students.
Thank you. If anyone has additional comments on this question that you think of later, I'm happy to add them. Here is our third question. What excites you most about your child learning science? And what kind of learning experiences do you hope they have? What excites you about your child learning science, and what experiences do you hope they have?
Everything. Everything excites me about science. Dissect that frog. Get your hands dirty. See how it explodes. How does it change color? You know, just get their brain going. And yeah, and getting into it. Look in a microscope. Figure out all those tools that you have. You know.
Yeah, everybody uses the apps on the phone. You probably used an app this morning for something. Science connects to that. I think that's very important, what everybody's talking about. Yeah, how does science connect to your specific career?
Right now, I was remember Carl Sagan that he was saying that all the kids are a little science because all the kids has all the questions. Why the sky is blue? Why there is raining? So they already have all these science questions, and sometimes, as a parents, we don't have the answers. If they could learn science, they could give me the answer to me. Maybe they could learn before me.
Thank you.
Would it be possible for me to add again?
Yes, please. Always.
So I'm a former science teacher myself, and what excites me the most, especially when I see it with my students and with my own personal kids, is the hands-based learning opportunities, the ability for students to ask a question and have the skills to know how to now, well, let me figure this out. How do I take the initiative to figure this out? What are those steps? And the best part is collaboration. I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited and I feel science can help with is building those collaboration skills, team building skills with other kids, learning how to talk and problem solve with each other is something that I'm most excited about that science can provide, again, that opportunity for our kids in the classroom space and how to also communicate their learning, what they've learned, what they've discovered, the challenges that they face, how they actually address those challenges. I think being able to communicate is a key piece. Kids can sometimes do, but then where's the communication piece? So that's one of the things that I think science can also help with in the classroom space. So that's what I'm excited about and would like to see moving forward in some of the science classes that we have at our schools.
I would like to see a science fair.
Ooh.
They used to have those.
Okay. Question 4. What experiences did you have with science in school? How did those experiences shape your views on science education? All right, think back. Think back. Science when you were in school. How did you learn science?
Well, my experience was very limited because our science program wasn't the greatest. So it was more like reading and writing. So I think that doesn't help a lot the kids to learn. I think what it helps more is like hands-on, practice. And even though I like science, maybe if I was more introduced to science, I'll be more into it, right? Because science is everything, even cooking is science. So I think for me was very limited. So I will love my kid to have this experience that I didn't have, like go in at it as long as he wants to go.
I think I had a negative experience with science because I was limited, because I didn't believe in myself. Because when I started really doing science classes was in college. So I was like, wow, how do these kids, and I didn't take the traditional route either. And I was like, how do these kids know all this stuff? The kids that were exposed to science, so I didn't believe like, oh my God, I don't even like science. How could I be a doctor if I don't even like science? It's not that I didn't like science, it's that I didn't know science. So for me, it could have been a better experience.
Don't worry about it.
I have.
Jump in.
Oh, I think also that the role of the teacher is really important because my first experience with science, it wasn't good. I have a teacher that it was just reading and writing and just the subject and everything. But then one time I have a teacher that he was making us science really interesting, making us the science like, why this is happening? Well, let's know it. Give me your hypothesis. And then we start sharing. So the role of the teacher is also really important because they are going to make the kids love the science.
I'd like to add on to that. I agree. Uh, my experience too, I myself am a science major, but the reason I am a science major is because I was very fortunate enough to have teachers that were very passionate about science and didn't just keep it in the classroom. They took us out. We got to meet with professionals. We got to do astronomy club. So we got to go out into the field and at nighttime look at the stars and use a telescope, learn how to use instrumental tools early on, microscopes before going to college. But this was on the teacher themselves. They didn't have additional support. It was like a teacher that went out of their way to do this in the classroom space. And I'm truly appreciative of that because that is something that I grew up to love and did as a career. And so I'd like to have not the one teacher alone being the push, but that the district is helping and supporting all of our science teachers to provide the necessary supports in the classroom space, but also take our students out into the real world, out of the classroom spaces to see science live in action with actual career professionals so that they can get motivated. They can see what it takes to be in some of these science professions, STEM professions.
Yeah, that I remember that too. Our equipment was so minimal that none of us will get to see the whatever the experiment or whatever was going on. It was so limited that only a few had the chance to actually work or see or touch. So that is
For you.
yeah.
Next, for you.
Yeah. So and like I don't know if Griselda was talking, like we didn't have that experience. They never took us nowhere, you know? So I think that is, I would love all the kids to experience that, like have the chance to have all the equipment they need, go on field trips and experience science firsthand.
I really agree with what everyone is saying. I feel like well, with my daughter, she has a science because she's in middle school. She has science and stuff, but they just assign them homework. I feel like if they just engage them more and having them like one of the parents like ask them questions, get them more involved and like have them like what is their like she mentioned, what is her like the hypothesis? What is what is what you think? All these ideas they can create on children, and then maybe some of the kids are shy because nobody wants to raise up their hand. But when one person or another raise up their hand, is like you don't know if that person was thinking that thought, and then they're more accepted to be able to raise their hands so like, oh, she just answered my question or he just answered my question. They get more involved when you actually when the teacher gets
more involved in asking questions and having the children get involved and having them like, what is your point? What do you think? Like having them on hands and having them to like explore themselves and having them think there's no wrong and right answer. Just have them explore.
We also have Sunny that has raised his hand.
Morning. So I probably, unlike many in this group, had quite an incredible experience learning science growing up in elementary and middle school and high school. And I can attest to like how wonderful that's been in my like adult life. But growing up as a kid, we did science experiments, we did dissections, we did things with microscopes, all the things that everyone's talking about. I remember in fourth grade, we went to Catalina Island and did science camp there. In fifth grade, we went to Astro Camp. In sixth grade, we went to Yosemite. Those things, I think, really shaped my experience with science. We did science fairs. We really got into it. And in high school, I had the opportunity to do more science extracurriculars because of that. And so, it is absolutely critical that our children get resources inside the classroom and outside the classroom. I know in our middle schools in sixth grade, they do a lot of modeling. So there's a lot of programs with stuff, but no hands-on experience. And in the middle schools this year, they cut the sixth grade science camp, right? Those are experiences that our children, I think, are losing and that I personally benefited from. So I really hope that those are the things that we can kind of push forward. And that's really it. Thank you.
Question 3, what I thought about it. Question 3, what would we like to see? Though, like Sunny said, camps, science camps, and also after school science club.
I'm going to move us to question 5. This is our last question. What do you believe are the essential skills and knowledge that students should gain from a quality science education?
At elementary level, start at the fundamentals. What is science? What are the instruments? What can we, which way can we go with science to where we're interested with it for the different kids? Yesterday we got the opportunity to participate in Who Wants to Be an Opera Singer at El Camino College, the upper grade levels at Twain. And Emily, my child, came home saying, I want to see an opera. I said, you already did. The Nutcracker, that's an opera. This is an opera, And she's like, well, I want to do this. And it exposed her. And that's what we need for our children. All these kids were into it. It was a great experience. And that's what we need for our kids, exposure. Do you like this? Do you want to explore this avenue?
Griselda, who raised her hand.
Yes. When I think of skills, I think of scientific inquiry, critical thinking skills, being able to ask, formulate, design, data literacy and analysis is big for me. Just being able for students to, how do you collect and organize and really dig through the data and identify patterns, making predictions. Those are very big skills that I see as well. Technical and digital skills. I think that's something that also needs to be in our classroom spaces. how students are coding, AI experiences or learning with AI, understanding the role of technology, but also with that, scientific literacy and ethical reasoning when you're using these tools and you are trying to make informed decisions using science skills. Those are all critical skills that I'm hoping to get from a quality education for my sons.
Thank you.
Herself that said it like, teacher words, but for me, it would be like, if he has a question that at the end, he will know that if he wants to know the answer to something, he can go and find the answer. There's the answer for everything, and science can get you to that answer. That, like the ability of, if I have a question, I can do this, and it will get me the answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. All of the comments that were typed in the chat have been added to the notes. And I just want to thank you for taking the time today to share with us this valuable perspective that you bring as a family of our children in Lawndale. Your insights into your aspirations for your children and your feedback on the science curriculum materials, which we'll look at next time, are incredibly important to us. And we will partner this feedback you're giving with what our teachers are saying about the two programs we're looking at and about what our students are also saying about the experiences that these programs are giving them. So I look forward to seeing you. Again, I'll be here in February, and I'm going to bring the materials with me so that you get to look at our two programs and think about, this is the education I want for my kids. Do I see it here? Do I see it here? What questions do I have now? All right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your input.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to switch gears. This is a heavy topic meeting, but we're going to talk about gifted and talented education. So I want to introduce Tracy Pumilia, our assistant superintendent, I should say Dr. Tracy Pumilia, recently knighted, and she is going to talk to us about gifted and talented education. So I'm going to invite her up to take Sharice's seat.
Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. Careful. Good morning. It's good. Nice to see you all here. Is it better for me to sit so people can see me on Zoom? Is that?
I think so, because I'll be able to see your face as opposed to just your.
Oh, because they're showing, right? So I can stand?
Our camera will.
Okay, so
You're speaking.
I'm better. I'm a better stander. So this presentation and this part of the meeting is something that Anne-Marie Mowat, who is the 21st Century Learning Coordinator, and I held with our families of students who were newly identified as in the Gifted and Talented program, in the GATE program. And from that meeting, we had a parent who recommended that we provide this information to all parents. So we're bringing it here to the DPAC, and I welcome your feedback, and I welcome any questions that you have, and maybe some other kinds of next steps that you see as you hear this. I won't get through all of it tonight or today in our presentation, and I will come back. Wherever we leave here, I'll bring it to the next meeting so that we have enough time for everything. All right. Now, I wanted to basically get us all started with the actual purpose. Everybody's heard of GATE? No? There are a program in California, across the country, there has been a program to identify students in our schools who have academic talents. And in California, it's called the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education. And that's how it turns into GATE. Okay. I also want you to know that there is some history to it. So I'm going to go all the way back to the 1960s. In the 1960s, there was this program for mentally gifted, and they used to give IQ tests, and anybody who scored above the 98th percentile would get this qualification as mentally gifted. 20 years later, there was a little bit of a change and this kind of understanding that it's not just only if you're scoring in the 98th percentile. There are amazing talents out in the world. So in the 60s, it came from mentally gifted to gifted and talented, to recognize the many different talents that children, adults can bring that aren't just about scoring really well on a test. So from there, it gave all school districts like, hey, you guys decide what makes your students gifted or talented, all right? And it really focused on specific academics. So it did talk about academics. It talked about leadership, visual performing arts, creativity. And there were districts who created like portfolios and identified students as gifted. And then they would normally have them in programs after school, maybe a photography club or something like that. Like they gave them opportunities to do that. But there really wasn't a lot of money there. And then finally in 2000, there was some funding that the state gave, and it was called GATE funding. And every one of our schools got a little bit of money to help our students, right? In 2014, that GATE funding went away, all right? But it gave districts through our LCAP process the authority, like, hey, if you want to put money to help your gifted and talented students, you can do that. Identified kind of in our LCAP, which is our local control. That's our budget that we work on here. And a lot of times you'll hear me talking about the LCAP. Okay. Now, all of these things are for these purposes. The purpose in the blue here is to identify students. That's why we do it, to identify students that may have some special talents or some different talents, all right? Especially in the academic realm. It helps me as a teacher if a student already knows things or learns things very quickly. It helps me to identify that this student needs to be challenged more, okay? That allows me to then provide some special kind of instruction to those students so that I can continue to challenge them. So we identify and then we provide specialized academic instruction within the classroom, okay? We can also provide extracurricular activities to challenge them, okay? It also helps us with teachers so that teachers know and the administrators know that these students have been identified as gifted and talented, all right? It provides us to ensure that we provide them with training so that our teachers and our educators know what those special needs and unique abilities of our students are that are in GATE. And we also use it to support parents for students who have been identified as GATE. All right. So it's really about supporting parents, training, and meeting our students' needs by identifying them and supporting them. That's what the GATE program is about. In Lawndale, right now, there are two ways to become qualified or be eligible for the GATE program in Lawndale, right? We are focusing at this current time in the academic realm. We want to get our GATE program going, and we want to make sure that what we're doing here is correct. And what we're doing first is looking at an intellectual criteria. The intellectual criteria is where we give a test to all of our third graders. We'll give it to them in the spring. And they take something called the NNAT3, the Naglieri. The Naglieri is a test that requires no speaking and no reading, really. I mean, it has a little bit of like identifying, but the instructions are all pattern-based. So this is a typical question on the Naglieri. We intentionally chose this test to support our students who are learning English. Okay? And I want to emphasize that prior to using this test, we had another test that required students to know English in order to qualify and do well. And we had 0 English learners identified as gifted as a result. So that's why we switched it, because we looked at the data, right? So by looking at the data, we knew that we needed to provide something that didn't have any, had nonverbal ways of measuring a student's abilities. This is timed. You have to know what goes in here, and you have 30 minutes, and you have this group that's on a computer, and you have to do it pretty quickly. So you can't really study for it. You can't really go back. You can't take your time to do this. It is timed. And we have students who can do this right away. Okay, this is spatial intelligence, and this is something that we give to as a universal screener to everybody. Anybody who scores above the 95th percentile automatically gets qualified as intellectually gifted in the intellectual category. But we also know, and I want to think about those students who get in the 94th percentile, right? Or who are still very, very high achieving. So we added a second criteria, and I'm going to show this to you in the next one. And this provides another opportunity for students who don't necessarily score in the 95th percentile, but still demonstrate high academic achievement. So you have different ways to be able to qualify into the GATE program, because we also understand that students have different talents in different ways, right? So let's say you have a combination. If you can get 3 points from any combination from these bullets, then you would be qualified to participate in the GATE program. Okay, so I'm going to have you take a look at it really quickly, and then we'll just kind of go through it. So even if you score in the 84th percentile of the Naglieri, you'll get a point, but you're still not considered gifted. You also have to have 2 more points somewhere here to be able to do it. Okay. We have students who score in the advanced in level 4 in both English language arts and in math, and they do it for 2 consecutive years. Those are very high achieving students. So they get 2 points because of that. Right. And then there are students who are really good in math, not so good in language arts, right? Or really good in language arts and not so good. Those students would get 1 point, but they have to score in the advanced for 2 years in a row. They have to be good students. They have to be our good students, right? We also ask for teacher recommendation. And we also look at students who might be learning English, for example, or who have other types of circumstances that perhaps took away some of those experiences. Let's say if you're growing up in a household that doesn't have as many opportunities than maybe some other households. So we have those as a point system. And with that, we have now, just from the fall, you can see that for our 4th grade students, these are our students who just took the Naglieri. They just took the Naglieri. We had 8 students who buzzed through that Naglieri in the 30 minutes, and they scored in the 95th percentile or above. All right. And then you can see that some students scored in our previous way of scoring. We had another testing. And so we have these students who have been captured in our other way of testing, as well as the 3-point system. So now we're at about 146 students, which is an increase. Last year, we had about 115. So we're very pleased to be able to capture students who are high achieving and who might be learning English at the same time, for example. All right.
No third grade stats?
They haven't taken it yet. They'll take it in the spring. And then we will then collect all of that information. And then next year in August, we'll start the whole thing over. So they'll always be kind of in fourth grade. Yeah. We will be doing it in about March. If you have any third graders, they'll be doing it in March. And I also wanted to let you know, because we just started it this year, we did, if you have any fourth graders, our fourth graders also took it this fall. So we switched it.
I think that well, I'm sorry, I lost track of where I was.
That's okay. Did you want to talk about the testing, or did you have an experience?
I think he wanted to ask when the dates are for taking the test.
No. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Of testing? Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, what we'll do, because it's already 9:56, I'll come back next time and we'll talk a little bit more about the services that we provide for our students who are in the GATE program. But do you have any questions? If not, I'll be available afterwards. And I know that we have to, I want to make sure that you are in your time. We don't want to run late, so.
Well, sure, but let's make sure we capture any questions that
Sure.
will inform our February meeting too.
Sure.
So every student is given an opportunity to take that test,
Correct. Yes,
regardless if the teacher thinks they might be or not.
exactly. Everybody gets it.
When is it given?
We'll be giving it in about, is it before or after spring break?
But I haven't determined that yet because we have iReady. So I want to make sure we're not. Anyway, so I want to talk to you about the exact dates, but it'll either be, I'm thinking it might be right after spring break. Just so that they're not having to worry about iReady and.
Yeah. Anne Marie Mowat, who is our 21st century coordinator, and she is the one that helps coordinate the testing. And so it'll be this spring. We will let the teachers and the families know that that's going to be happening. So while we do give everybody the screening, parents can opt out. They don't have to have their child take the test.
So question about NNET. So for the current fourth grader, they already took one test, right, this year. Are they going to take another one when they're fifth grade or later on this year?
After they take the one screener, then they're done. They don't have to take any more tests after that. What we will do is we'll rely on other tests like the SBAC, the CASP testing that everybody takes in the springtime. They can, if they test in the advanced range for 2 years, they'll get those points and we can qualify them under high achievement.
So let's play some example out, right? So based on the scoring system that you mentioned earlier, the qualification process. So if somebody is within the 84 to 94 range, right, and then they get 1 year, right, for the either math or English about at 4. So the only other way to qualify when they go to the fifth grade is by teacher recommendations on site, right? There'll be 3 points. So then what teacher are we referring to? Is that a teacher in the fifth grade or teacher in the fourth grade for the current fourth grader?
So,
Yeah.
for example, can you give me the grade level?
Sure. So let's say the kids on the fourth grade right now, and then they just finished the NNETs. They're on the 84 to 49 range.
Okay.
So, and then like this year they get the either math or English at the score of 4, right, for the SBAC. So they're 2 points. So now they need a teacher recommendation in order to get the 3 points to qualify, right? So then for the teacher recommendation, would that be the fourth grade teacher or that would be the fifth grade teacher?
Yeah, it would be a teacher that knows the student. So we would accept the student, for example, if they're coming just into fifth grade, we would rely and we would talk to the fourth grade teacher as well. so that they have that conversation and they can provide that recommendation with knowledge and experience. The third grade tests will come into play. So it's possible that, yes, they will have third grade advanced, fourth grade advanced, that would get that 1 point. And if they are an English only student and do not have a low income status, then yes, we would look at the teacher recommendation for that third point.
So that would be the fourth grade, right? For the current fourth grader, then the next entry point would be the fifth grade by the recommendation by the fourth grade teacher, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have 2 consecutive years.
Yeah. I think, yeah, the third grade scores and the fourth grade scores would provide that point because it is a 2-year consecutive high score.
So sorry, just a follow-up question. So if the student on the third grade get 4 in both English and math, and then they score 94 in the NNET, so they're guaranteed in when they're in the fifth grade, right? Because they already hit 3 points, correct?
Oh, they'd have to have it.
If they have the score of 4 in both English language arts and math in third grade, that's one year. And then let's say in fourth grade, then they do another 4 in English language arts and math. That's 2 years. And
Oh,
since
that's right. 2 consecutive. Got it. So, but they just need to have one of the subject, right? Either English or math in the fourth grade in order to qualify.
No, they need it for 2 years. So look at the SBAC for in one content for 2 consecutive years. We would still look at third grade. And if they're only in one content and they get a 4 in math and then in third grade, and then another 4 in math in fourth grade, they get a point.
Got it. Yep. Thank you.
You're
They
welcome.
need to be the same subject, right? So if the math is 4 in the third grade, they need to be
True.
also math 4,
Yep.
right? Cannot be English.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. Thank
Yep.
you.
I think there's 2 questions over here.
A parent wants to know if GATE is offered at the middle schools. And he said, my son was in GATE at Twain, but we have not heard of anything happening at Rogers.
There is, what happens in middle school is that they usually will place into, they have these opportunities that are enrichment opportunities that actually are open to everybody. And I hope everybody agrees with me that that's a good thing. That students who are gifted and talented have the same opportunities and they get those opportunities. But if a student is still pretty good, they can also, if they want to go into a math club after school, they can also join that math club. So it won't be called the GATE Math Club. It'll just be called Math Club. All right. So that is one thing that we'll talk about with our office, our services and our offerings for our next month. We can talk a little bit more about what you'll see in the middle school and then what you'll see in the middle school, in the elementary school as well.
And then I have another parent mentioned if you could please share the name of the GATE program coordinator and when will it be the next session to continue the info for the GATE program?
Let's see, do I have, oh, I don't have it. Anne Marie Mallard is our GATE, I don't know if I call you our GATE coordinator, but our GATE person at the district level. At each school, there is a GATE advocate. There is a teacher. And because I don't have it right here, right now, how would you like it? Would you like me to send it out, or I can have it prepared for our next presentation, which would be the next DPAC meeting? Would that be all right for the DPAC?
And we can also share it through our community liaisons more quickly. And our next meeting in February is the 26th, I believe. Yeah. Okay. February 26th is when we'll invite Dr. Pamilia back to continue the conversation.
At what age should they start testing?
Third grade.
Just from third grade all the way to middle school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A question. What about the younger kids? There are some help or something like that. For example, if a kid in kindergarten already know a lot and he's getting bored in the classroom, did you help them with more challenge or something like that? How do you work with these kids? before the program gate?
I love that question, and that will talk a little bit about our philosophy in teaching and in differentiating inside the classroom. And we will talk about that's part of our services. I do agree that just because you've qualified, it's not like you get a big G on your forehead and then now you're tattooed and now you're different. You're the same kid. And there are students who don't qualify who are also extremely talented and extremely high achieving. So it's just one of those things that we want to kind of still be able to work with students where they are and challenge them as best we can. So I will absolutely continue those questions and everything, especially about what we do and how we service our students in the next DPAC meeting. Thank you.
Dr. I had one. I'm going to make you the last question.
Why the test is until the 3rd grade? Why is it not done before? What's the criteria on that?
The current thinking is that ahead of that, there really isn't some will do end of 2nd grade, but beforehand, our brains are very malleable. And so students don't always dedicate and don't always demonstrate, and they don't always come through. And also, since we're kind of going through high academic achievement at this time right now, we want a few years of that high academic achievement to kind of settle into place. Just the standing logic right now goes at about 3rd grade. It used to be 4th grade, now it's 3rd grade. There are a couple places that do it at the end of 2nd grade. At the same time, again, like I said, we do things to make sure that we're supporting our students. So when I come back next time too, I can provide some information about why districts choose a 3rd grade or choose 4th or choose 2nd. There's nothing magical about it as much as we just kind of pick 3rd.
Pick that 3rd grade.
Yeah, kind of middle of your elementary years.
I'm sorry, we have one more.
Okay.
Once the student qualified for GATE, does he or she stay in the program through middle school, or does he or she need to requalify every year?
They can stay in the program every year, and yes, they don't have to retest. Okay, so we'll go through all of these things. You can see there's a lot of things there, and then I'm going to let you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kane. Thank you so much for the wonderful
Dr.
question.
Pamelia. As you can see, this is a popular room and we're about to do a show change, but I want to take just 1 minute to update you on a couple of things. One, to remind you that there is still the opportunity to become a public health ambassador at our school sites. It's a wonderful opportunity to get training, to get paid, and to bring resources to our schools. Giannina is a PALS ambassador. Brenda is a PALS ambassador. Maria is a PALS ambassador. Lydia is a PALS ambassador. We have many. They're at Twain. They're at Rogers. They're at Mitchell/Carson/Twain. So talk to them if you are interested. Our community liaisons can also help you with that. It's a wonderful opportunity. And they can direct you to the website where you can find out all the information, but you can earn about $500 for completing the training and then bringing that to our school sites. So I encourage you to check it out. A reminder, our board meetings this month, February 6th, that's next week. They're highlighting Green Elementary. If you're a Green parent, you want to check that out. If you're just interested in Green, you should check it out. On February 20th, FDR will be highlighted. You can come in person. You can watch via YouTube. And if you need interpretation, you can request it ahead of time and watch it via Zoom in Spanish. So please check it out. A reminder here that you need to request interpretation 72 hours in advance in order to have that feature for our board meetings. And finally, next meetings, here are all the dates in February. There are also copies for you in the room on the table over here. It has all of our meetings with all of their dates for the whole year. Please take one. I'm giving all the rest to the community liaisons to take to your schools for those of you in the Zoom world so that you can have them. But we would love to see you February 12th at our Community of Multilingual Families. That will be a hybrid meeting here. APAC, February 13th, will also be in person and via Zoom here in the district office. Those are in the evenings. DPAC on the 26th, and our Special Needs Family Support Group had a fabulous meeting this week, and they'll be back March 18th. And with that, thank you. And we turn over the room to the next group. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Thank you.
Want to help with some math volunteer opportunities. Hay una oportunidad para padres para ayudar con unos materiales de matemáticas para prepararlas. Ellas las encargan Neil, Mrs. Neil, es especialista de matemáticas y si desean quedar con ella, pueden ayudar a preparar materiales de matemáticas para las maestras de primer grado a través del distrito. Son opcionales, pero ¿qué desean? Aquí estarán.
Yeah.